world headquarters of Southeastern Fly. This is the Southeastern Fly podcast. Sign up for our newsletter wherever you're consuming this podcast. We've got a link right there. Follow us on Instagram at Southeastern Fly. And if you're on Facebook, feel free to sign up to get into the Southeastern Fly podcast Facebook group. Just go ahead and join, and it'll come right to me. If you've got a fish in your profile picture or somewhere that I can see it, we'll let you right in. If not, we'll look for friends of friends, and if not that, we'll see if we can't find something to connect you to. And if you don't hear from it, just text me or send us an email. So I took some time off. Let's start there. Let's start with the time off. Took some time off, went to the beach, hung out, went fishing. Actually went fishing with Richard Schmidt at Richard Schmidt Fly Fishing. Had a great day on the water down there in Mississippi. I've had 2 days out of the past couple of months that I've got to fish, other than on that trip one day. So 3 days out of the past 3 or 4 months, I've been able to fish myself, other than sneaking in maybe a little bit of time at lunch while folks are eating on the river. So that being said, I'm kind of getting to the point where I probably need to go fish again. If you're following us on Instagram, you already know that story. But if not, maybe if you've got Instagram, go ahead and follow Southeastern Fly there. Right in the middle of all that, Ron Jeeves, I think he emailed me or Instagram messaged me something. Anyway, Rob got in touch with me. He's got a really cool YouTube channel where he's gone into Western North Carolina after the floods. And on July 7th, there were some bad floods out in Texas, and there's been some in other places as well. But Rob is looking back into the North Carolina floods, and he's going in quite a bit over there and just taking some video of the fishing and the stuff around. And he and I were messaging back and forth today, and he said, I told him, I said, I love the food part of it because he talks about what he eats and all that. And he said, yeah, some people like that part more than the fishing. And I like the food part, to know where to eat. As you know, if you listen to this podcast, we want to know where do you eat when we come down and visit or out and visit you. So he goes over that, and the conversation went on. I won't bore you with the whole thing, but I ended up telling him I like to go in old general stores and see what's in there. And I like old hardware stores too. So that kind of stuff's been really fun to look at. He hasn't gone into a general store yet, but I have a feeling that hopefully he'll branch out a little bit in his videos and show us some of that stuff. But I've been lucky to talk to like Nolan and Dan and Tim and Landon. Just been able to email and talk with them, some of them in person, and that's been some good conversation that are sparking some. This is a long way. I know that I'm taking up a little time here, but I'm trying to spark some more inspiration on what it is that we need to talk about on the single topic mid-month podcast. And so they've given me some good ideas, but George is getting ready to retire. So this one's out to you, George. George said, hey, is there any way that I could help with a calendar of what to fish, where to fish, that sort of thing? And I could probably do it for George because he fishes close to some of the same rivers that I do, but I can't do it for our entire audience. Even if I just said, all right, I'm just going to do the Southeast, I think that would probably take me a year to do, because I'd have to get in touch with folks and pick their brain and get them to tell me, what their waters are like. And there's a ton of water around the Southeast. So I've been sitting on this, George. I've been sitting on this for over a month now, just thinking about it, coming back to it. And I think instead of just saying, here's what you need to fish, I think I might just do kind of a high level, here's what you need to look for to find out what you need to fish. Not necessarily, I'm not going to spoon feed. I can't do it for everybody. But I can kind of give you tips and tricks to find out what it is. So I think when I do this, I'm going to start this in a minute, but I'm going to start in winter, and I'm going to start on January 1st. I think that's all fair to say that in the South by January, it's starting to get pretty cold, although it feels like lately the coldest month has been February over the past several years for us. Or maybe my memory's just hitting back on that. I don't know. But so in the winter, everything seems to be moving a little slower, but I swear it doesn't matter how high the water gets on the tailwaters, how much water's coming off the mountain into the freestones. There's a midge hatch somewhere all the time. It feels like there's one in my backyard the other day, and I see we call them gnats, but if you look real close, there's some midge type activity in there too, and they fly and they do all that stuff. And there's some water around here that I'm pretty sure they come off of. But there's going to be some midges. So observation is a big thing to find out what's going on in your particular water. It pays dividends to not take a fly rod to the water sometimes and just go sit or designate 30 minutes or an hour. I'm just going to sit and watch what's going on. Especially if you can find like rising fish, if you got clear water. The water tends to clear up in the wintertime a lot, so you can see on the bottom and just see what's going on out there on the water, in the water. Talk to some other anglers that are there while you're there. Be friendly. People will tell you a lot of things. Now, you'll get some things that may not be exactly 100% accurate, but I don't think that's necessarily for the most part somebody trying to mislead you. I think that's more just that's their particular belief at that particular time. And we all know that our beliefs change as we get more and more years, more and more time on the water. So midges are a pretty good one. And I've talked about watching shad come through the tailwaters down here, White River, around our neck of the woods in Middle Tennessee, probably some in East Tennessee too. And that's a little bit different rise than a midge rise. You can see a fish come up to a midge and they'll be a little bit splashy. You see a fish hit a shad and it's like somebody throwing bowling balls in the water. It's really good. So that's a few tips for winter. Springtime's when everything starts coming out. I mean, bugs, midges still coming, mayflies coming, caddis can start popping then. You'll see sulfurs coming up, making the little teepees on the river. You can see birds eating the sulfurs once they start coming off the river. Just a lot of things there to watch for bugs. The nymphal stage in the spring works well, probably right off the bat in the spring for us. I'm talking about for us. It may not work for you, but you got to get out there and give it some trial and error. Don't think that you just go run out there and throw what everybody else is throwing. A lot of times you might want to take a few, not you don't need a fly box with 1,000 different patterns in it. You just need some simple patterns to start out with until you start getting kind of comfortable. Griffith's gnat, for instance, Griffith's gnat for midges that's a great fly. It looks like, I guess, a bunch of midges. And midges must taste good because trout seem to eat midges. On a springtime for smallmouths, that's going to be a little bit different. Or what are the crayfish doing? What are the crayfish doing? I was going to say crawfish. I guess they're crawfish too. I don't know. It's been a while since I've had crawfish to eat. I know that it's probably not even close to time now, but hopefully I can catch them next year. I do know they taste good. So, but what's falling on the water? Is anything falling? Are there some minnows that have just coming on? They're going to run in schools, little small schools. So that's another observation that you can make just by sitting on the bank and watch for flies. That the warm water flies around here, and I would assume it would be, George, the same for you, and it would be kind of the same as far west as, I don't know, pick Montana. There you go. I would assume that the fresh water, or the freestones, not the fresh water, it's all fresh water, unless you're in Florida or in the salt, but we're sticking to fresh water. But Montana, those tailwaters out there are going to be a little cooler. You gotta factor in runoff out there, but in the South, most of the time you're going to find that the freestones warm up a little quicker. Therefore, the bugs start going a little quicker, popping off a little quicker. So that'll be something that you'll want to take into account. And don't think that you can't catch a smallmouth on a dry fly, because you can do it. I've done it. It's a lot of fun. It doesn't happen quite as often, probably, as a trout might, but it's still a lot of fun. Summertime, move into summertime. You're still going back to the river. You're still observing what's going on, but you've got winter and spring pretty much in your back pocket, and you know what's coming next. It's going to start heating up. And when I say heating up, like right now, It's well, let's just see what the temperature says out here because I've got a app. That's another thing you need to do is get an app. It is currently 90 degrees today, which is about 8 to 10 degrees cooler, I swear, than it has been over the past several days. It's been a hot one. So, summertime, y'all didn't think I'd ever get back to where I was, did you? But I did. I made it back. Summertime, terrestrials are coming. So there's that transition period between spring and summer where people think, well, it's nice, it's not 90 degrees out, so probably there aren't any terrestrials out. But start trying them early. Don't hesitate to fish them. I'm talking floating terrestrials and I'm talking some sinking terrestrials. And there's some tricks of the trade there, like a tequila, black tequila, under a hopper, under a black hopper. Getting those legs moving underneath may not hit may come up and look at that hopper and come down and grab the tequila, something like that. There's a ton of terrestrials out there, but start trying those a little earlier probably than what you think you should, because I've caught fish on terrestrials in the snow in December in the South. Terrestrials in the snow it was snowing in the South. It was cold. It was really cold, and we were getting eats on floating terrestrials in December, and that's been kind of the record for me. And I don't know, it's probably 40 degrees outside, so it's never too early or too late to try something. It may not work, but it might. You may come into something that works sometimes, but you enjoy it more, and you get to talk about it more. You get to think about it more, which is half the fun whenever you're having a big family get together or something like that, where you're not really engaged. That's just kind of a little thing I threw out there for you. Fall is we're not too far away from fall. We're about a little over a month from college football season being ready in the first games. And then after that, September starts rolling. Now, on the tailwaters around here, we have some dissolved oxygen problems where we don't get quite as much dissolved oxygen, but those freestones are getting low too. So you kind of got to change that up and just see, all right, what's not popping now? Is the water a little more murky because it's everything in the lakes are starting to die. So, but with that will come some bugs that come through. They'll be dead. So you're going to have to, some scuds will be coming through, which they come through a lot anyway throughout the year. But maybe they're changing colors because of the dissolved oxygen. So you have to stay on top of that. It's a lot of looking at bugs, looking to see what I've got in my box. If no bugs, looking to see what am I going to throw next that might help me out. So, like I said, it's a lot of observation, ton of observation. It's a ton of just gathering information about my river. Wherever your river is, gather that information, try those things out. If somebody asked me how many years I've been guiding the other day, and I told them, and I started thinking back through all of those different cycles that I've gone through. A dam repair, which I swear it took 10 years, probably longer, for the water to, and we fished all through those and struggled some years and had some great times some years, some really good fishing some years. But from that, I'm able to pull out certain things and try certain things that, oh, I remember this worked then. So as you start building that up, George, you're going to start finding out that, oh, I tried this, it worked then. I'm going to try it again because the conditions are somewhat the same. So why don't I just try it and see? Don't be a one trick pony where all you can do is go out there and throw one bug. I've got into that too, where I thought, okay, I'm throwing this one bug all year, and I'm just going to have to make it work. And I'm going to have to fish harder. I'm going to have my people fish harder. And that's not necessarily the number one best thing I've ever done. Now over the past several years, I'm starting to reach out a little bit into different bugs and turning more rocks over even. And then we got out the other day, it was just hot as blazes out there, and the fish didn't bite in the morning, and then in the afternoon they finally turned on. So, you cannot make a fish open its mouth. Boy, if I could, I'd be locked and loaded and ready to go, but I can't figure out how to make them open their mouth if they don't want to. I can't figure out how to make them rise if they want to stay on the bottom. And I don't know anybody that can. If you think you can, please let me know how you do it, because I'd love to know. Sometimes it's just a matter of they just were turned off and all of a sudden they all decided, okay, time to eat. Part of that could have been the full moon the other day. I don't know. It was super clear whenever I walked out at 4:30 in the morning to get in the truck, and I just thought, oh no, I forgot about the moon phase. And if it's cloudy, it's not as big a deal, but boy, it was crystal clear, and the moon was shining. So yeah, we struggled in the morning. Maybe they got hungry at lunch. I don't know, but I guess about 11:30 they started eating. So, or maybe we just ran. Well, I was gonna say maybe we just ran into fish, but we had been seeing fish all day, and we would get to eat here and there, but nothing like the afternoon. Nothing like it. So, another thing that you just have to kind of keep in mind that okay, I just need to pull back from my memory or my notes or whatever you're doing. I've got a pretty lengthy fishing report that I can go back to and check those months and see what was happening and read my own code and sometimes be able to cipher it out and be able to figure out what it was that I was doing. So that's helpful as well. So that would be the way that I would do it. I would break it up into winter, spring, summer, fall. I would break up my notes that way. I'm not as much into barometric pressure on the tailwaters as I am probably on the freestones. I'm more into depth, how much generation, how deep is the water, how high is the water, how much, when are they turning the water off, that sort of thing. When are they backing down from 3 to 2 to 1 to 0 generators, whatever's going on there, and how far down am I below the dam. So there's a lot of different factors in there that I like to kind of think about and try to make a plan for the start of the morning, and don't get hung up on this. They're going to do this today, because you don't know what they're going to do. It's just almost impossible to be able to tell. You'll kind of know where they are, but you don't know if they're going to come up and eat or not. And you always hope for that one big dumb fish to come and eat. And sometimes he's just laid up eating cheese doodles, and he's not going to come eat your fly. He's just not going to do it. So don't get caught up in that. I know they're going to eat this today, because I have gone in a shad kill with tens of thousands of shad laying on the water, and the only thing that they would eat was a little size 16 pheasant tail. I guess maybe they were full on shad, and it's like eating Christmas turkey or Thanksgiving turkey or Christmas turkey. It's like eating Thanksgiving turkey. After you've eaten that big meal, you're like, I don't want another piece of turkey for a while, but I'll eat a couple pieces of popcorn or a small slice of pie. So, maybe fish get into that too. Who knows? So anyway, break it up into winter, spring, summer, and fall. Keep good notes. Do a lot of observating. That's a new term for some of you out there. Observating is, just observe. Observe what's going on on, and around the water. What are the birds doing? What are they eating? Sulfurs? Are they eating shad, picking shad off the top? What are they doing? It's just all kind of parts of the puzzle, and spending some time not waving a stick in the air and standing in the middle of the river is okay too, if you can pick up some information. I got a question the other day, and I'll give you half of it. And the guy's name is Don, and this one's out to you, Don. He asked, he said, is it too hot to fish? And I thought, no. I'm trying to think of how hot have I been out fishing and still caught fish to where you can still function. But, because it can get so hot in a boat that it just can bake you, especially on freestones where it's not a tailwater and the water temperature is not 55 degrees or 60 degrees. If you're out on a tailwater or on a freestone, the water can be 80 degrees, and it's like, okay, I'm not getting any relief getting in the water. On the tailwaters, you can get some relief just jumping in if you want to, or you can get up to your knees. If I get up to my knees in water, it basically cools me down pretty good. Splash a little on my face, I'm ready to go. But so, Don asked, he said, well, how hot is it? Is it too hot to fish? And I said, no, I've been out when it's 104 on my truck thermometer, and we caught fish. We caught actually a couple of times right around that same week. It was above 100 all week, but 104 was the most I had seen it at the river. It said 107, I think, at the gas station that day, but I don't know how true that was. I know that when we got down ready to put the boat in, it went down to 104. So that's what I was going with. But I don't think it really gets too hot to fish the tailwaters. I think you don't want to pull the fish out and hold them out of the water too long if you don't have to. I mean, everybody wants to get a picture, and I'm not getting into that. We've got an episode on that back a few episodes ago, but don't think you can't fish when it's hot. I mean, you may have to fish deeper, especially if you're, as the bass and stuff start trying to seek out that cool water, but on tailwaters, you can see bugs coming off. You can still see fish rising. You can catch fish. You can do all that, but it's, I don't know if it gets too hot in the south. Now in Arizona, yeah, absolutely. I've got a friend that lives in Arizona, and he's just, yeah, it gets hot. But several years ago, I had fish with a friend of mine for striper one day. We were just going on a striper hunt. We weren't really fishing for striper. We were, but we weren't. What I mean by that is we were going to observe and see what they're doing, see if we could find them. Number one, there was a little creek that they would all hang out by that came into the main river, and they'd hang out in the mouth. And about every 20 minutes, one or two of them would blow up on a little bait fish. And when we got to them, but the further we got, the hotter I got, and I really didn't get cooled off in time, and I started getting sick. And I'll give you a few ideas, Don, of what happened. I didn't discuss this with him, and I know you listened, or I think I know. But the first thing that I knew when I knew something was wrong, I was yawning a lot, trying to yawn. And I was like, I'm not tired. I slept well last night, And then the more further we got, the hotter I got, the more I started yawning. And then I was like, oh crap, I'm getting sick. So I tried to chug some water. That really didn't work. I waited too long to get in and cool down. That didn't help. And finally, I just got a little heat stroke. And fortunately, I was with a friend of mine who could row, and I really wasn't trying to make him row, I promise, although that would be something I might do from time to time to him. But this time I really wasn't, and he could tell there's something wrong with me. So anyway, episode 101, Hot Weather, Cool Strategies. If you haven't listened to that, right now would be a good time, as soon as this one's over, would be a good time to go just hit play on that one, because there's some really good information in there about all kinds of stuff. But the big thing is drink a lot of water. Drink water on the way to the river until you think you have to pee, and then don't pee. Just let it sweat out of you. Take a couple water bottles with you. If you can do plastic, great. If you don't, that's okay too. Just make sure you've got something to drink, and make sure that you're remembering to drink. I have to make people remember to drink on the boat. And I'll see people, especially the person behind me, usually they don't drink as much as the person in front of me, because I'm looking at the person in front of me's bottle, and I'm asking them, are you drinking water? Yeah. And then I'll kind of say, hey, are you drinking water? Behind me. And they'll say, yeah, 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 yeah. And yesterday I stopped, and the guy in front of me, he in the front of the boat, his water was gone. The guy behind me had really just drank it, maybe a quarter of it, and it was hot. And I said, do you need some water? And he said, no, no, I've got some left. And I felt the bottle. It was hot. I said, well, you're not drinking that. Here, let me get you some cold water and put in there. And so we gave him some cold water, but just try to remember to drink water as much as you can. It doesn't hurt to have a Gatorade or something like that as well, but at the very least, drink as much water as you can. And I'm preaching to the choir, preaching to myself as much as I am the choir. But yeah, that's super important. So, does it get too hot? No, not really. It gets very uncomfortable sometimes, but I haven't found it to be too hot yet. So, we'll address the cold weather one day, because I get that question a lot too. But just be careful out there. Keep yourself hydrated. Get some. We talk on episode 101. We talk about long pants. We talk about long sleeve shirts versus short sleeve. We talk about long pants versus short pants. We talk about sunscreen. We talk about all that stuff that'll help keep you fresher as the day goes on. And you know that I'm big about, hey, I want you to be fresh at the end of the day too, because I don't want you to miss a chance at a big fish. Or maybe it's, just getting into double digits sometimes with fish. Man, if you miss that double digit mark, sometimes that's not good. So just keep yourself as fresh as you can, and go out and observate. Yep. Observation is king. It just, and talking to people, fly shops will help you out. We can help you out. Guides just usually don't want to give up their best information, but the Middle Tennessee group of guys, let me stop right here and say the Middle Tennessee group of guides, all of them, I can't think of one fly fishing guide that I haven't talked to and didn't come back and that dude's all right. We've got a very unique group, especially compared to some of the Western guides out there. We've got a very unique group of guides here. I keep saying guys, but I mean guides. We've got a very unique group of guides here that we all pretty much get along, and we all know that we want to give each other room. And if we can't take a trip, we want to give it to somebody to get somebody on the water. That's kind of that's just, I don't know, maybe that's the way that we've started this thing, which it started way before I came along. And we're just kind of trying to keep that business going that way, keeping the tradition of being a good person, you know. So yeah, I can't say enough about the guide group here in Middle Tennessee. Can't speak for anywhere else. I've seen some guides that didn't get along, and I've seen one guy leave a guide on the side of the road because he didn't particularly like him, which I don't know if I could do that or not, but hopefully I don't ever have to do that. Hopefully I don't have anybody that I dislike that much. I try to get along with folks, but yeah. So anyway, wanted to stop and say, hey, all the guides out there in Middle Tennessee, pretty good dudes. Yeah, for sure. And gals. We've got some gals out there guiding too, and they've all been good. So all right. So we talked about, George answered your question. Hopefully we got you ready to go out there and get yourself ready, and everybody else that is wondering what should we throw, when should we throw it? Well, it's a learning process, so get ready. Just find your process for each. I break it up winter, spring, summer, fall. If that's the way you want to break it up, fine. If you want to start in summer, that's fine too. But get your process of observing what's going on, talking to people, trying different things. The best way to find a fly that works, a new fly that works, is just take one to the river. That'll be the one that works. And if you don't have another one, that's the one they're going to eat. Okay. So anyway, sign up for the newsletter. It's available wherever you click play on this. Just look at the show notes. Follow us on Instagram. Give us a follow. Join us on the Facebook group of Fly Fishing Podcast by Southeastern Fly. That's the name of it. And what else? Let's see. Yep, got some already working on some presentations for late fall and early winter. So already getting some dates for that. So I'll be out and about doing some of that this winter, and it's July. So some folks are getting a start on that, understanding that calendars are kind of hard to put together, but we got a couple good episodes coming up. One real good episode on smallmouth coming up. If you're in the North Alabama area, you'll want to listen to this one. So anyway, that's kind of a teaser there. But if you're not in the North Alabama area, you'll want to listen to it anyway. I promise you're going to learn some things off this one. So, all right. Well, you just listened to whatever we're going to call this, Observating and Hot Weather on Southeastern Fly. See you next time.